Hallo zusammen.
Hello everyone. Today's subject is the sinking and rising in the practice of Qigong and Taiji. A key role for a proper grounding and earth connection do have the hip joints, to be precise, the hip flexors. Around at this position of your body, you can feel them. And what we are looking for in this area is a sinking by loosening. That means I'm trying to loosen, to release the hip flexors as best as I can, so that when you touch them with your fingers, you sink in slightly due to the softening of the tissue there while sinking. Everyone is using the hip flexors day in and day out, intuitively, without thinking about it. For example, in the very first phase, when we are about to sit down on a chair. That's when we are loosening in this very part, but here we wouldn't fall back on this situation, because while standing, we of course want to address the center of the feet. Once again, loosening in the hip flexors, and while doing this, one can sense that also the subsequent lower joints, namely the knees and the hock, the ankle joint, come into a slight opening activation. In opposition to that, just sinking and moving the knees is not what it is about, but rather the slight sinking of the knees happens as an effect of the sinking in the hip flexors. And now, due to the subsequent opening of the joints, something fascinating is happening in the tissue of the body, because the muscles, the tendons and ligaments now are being being stretched just like a rubber band. And this induces a special activating relaxation, a little bit like you would activate a string of a bow. While my sinking towards the ground, I make a clear connection with my inner force, with my inner strength, so to speak. And you would increase this effect when you imagine that you would sink down in a trampoline at extra low speed, sinking in it until the springing forces of the trampoline are fully charged and the forces begin to work upwards, and along with it your body follows. And a sense of diminishing gravity, a sense of feeling light, until the whole thing starts to sink back down again. Aligning my own body center towards the earth, addressing the center of the earth, until the lifting impulse dwells up again, perhaps with a feeling of a very light gas is floating into the body, which then escapes again. Later in the process of practicing, the movement might be much smaller and subtle. The exaggerated sinking and rising is just for demonstrating purpose. While there is a sinking aspect which is stressed and emphasized intensively along Tai Chi and Qigong tradition, there is also an aspect pointing to the other direction in order to complete and balance yin and yang. While sinking and rising, let your breathing support the process. While breathing out, go for the sinking and loosening. While breathing in, let the rising impulse come up. Just for illustrating the principle of aligning along the polarities and the sinking and rising, when there is no tension at all, nothing can resonate. But when there is too much tension on the string, on Siddhartha's guitar, so to speak, it may even break. So what it takes is an appropriate amount of vivid tension and conscious alignment, and then that's how the system can swing and resonate harmoniously. Sinking while breathing out towards the center of your feet, rising up again while breathing in. Time and again. Sinking and rising.